What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. And of course, let's have a quick conversation about money. A quick disclaimer before we start. This is a finance channel. So on this channel, I'm going to talk about things like real estate, banks, credit unions, credit cards, personal and business loans, business lines of credit, the stock market, side hustles, grants, basically anything that is going to help you get access to money to enhance your life. And I'm going to give you ideas of things that you can do with that money to increase what you have, to enhance the lives of you and everybody that you care about. All right, so now that that's been put out there and you know this is a finance channel, let's get on to the subject of today's video. Credit is something I talk about a lot. I was once bankrupt. I had nothing, no credit, no bank account, no credit cards, not even a debit account, nothing. And by getting my credit together and really learning how the credit system worked, I was able to totally change the trajectory of my life. So I'm going to give you 5 things that people with really high credit scores, typically around 800, do, and that you can do to improve your credit and start moving it towards the top. So every time you go for any type of credit, whether it's a loan, line of credit, any type of funding, the answer is very likely to be yes. All right, so the first thing that people with really great credit do is they are very cautious when they apply for new credit. Now, what do I mean by saying they're cautious when they apply for new credit? Applying for too much credit in a short period of time can be detrimental to your credit score. So you have to evaluate every offering that you consider taking. You want to look at things like the interest rate. How many authorized users are you able to have? What type of credit card rewards points or rewards programs do they have? Do they have features like extended warranty? Do they have features like price matching? All of these things you want to look at. How are the credit limit increases given? That is super important. So you want to look at all of this stuff and really be cautious about taking on new credit until you know it's something that can be long-term beneficial for you, because you don't want to just go opening up accounts that you're going to close in 3 months or 6 months or a year. Part of this long game with credit is having a good length of credit history. So you want to be cautious about the credit that you take on. Number 2, you're going to manage debt for a while. And I just touched on this. Managing debt means your length of credit history. You're going to have a long credit history to achieve great credit scores. So that means that your oldest account is something that you always have to protect. You always have to make sure that your oldest account is active. Even if it becomes a card that you rarely use, put it on some type of automatic timer to remind you every several months. Buy something with that card so you can keep it active, because the length of your credit history is 15% of your score, and it's extremely valuable. The next thing is that you are going to have the right credit mix if you're going to have great credit. What do I mean by that? Well, some people, and I was one of those people, once upon a time, would only have credit cards. All I had was credit cards. When I came out of bankruptcy, I was focused on getting credit cards, and I was thinking, well, I don't finance cars because I usually pay cash for cars, so I don't want to get a car note. At the time, I didn't have mortgages because I was just coming out of bankruptcy, but there are lots of ways that you can establish installment credit to go with your revolving credit, which will impact your score in a positive way, because it shows now that you're able to manage installment credit, which means it has a definite end date and a definite date that it began, and you're able to manage revolving credit, which is a credit card which is basically ongoing from month to month to month. Now, some of those ways that you can go about doing this is you could buy like some furniture and have an installment contract on that. Of course, I mentioned a car. You could buy a car. I'm not a person that finances cars, but financing cars is definitely a way of establishing installment credit. You could also do mortgages. So if you were buying a home or some type of rental real estate, you also can get a personal loan. And personal loans are just as good as everything else that I just mentioned as far as uh, establishing installment credit. So you want to have the right credit mix. You don't want to have all installment and no revolving, or all revolving and no installment credit. The next thing is you are going to probably carry some debt, but you really don't have to, but you will. And this is what I mean by that. When your credit cards have their close date for the statement for the month that you are working on, let's say your statement date closes on the 20th of each month and your bill is actually due on the 10th of the following month. On the 20th of that month, when the statement date closes with your credit card, it's going to report to the credit bureaus whatever you owed at that time. Let's say you had a $10,000 limit and you owe $500, which is approximately 5% usage, which is very good. As long as you pay that money by the 10th in full, you basically had the money for free for 30 days, like a no interest loan. You won't incur any interest. And then, of course, your balance goes down to zero, so you aren't really carrying debt. But it reports to the credit bureaus like you are, which makes creditors that are potentially going to give you money, it lets them know that you are able to manage debt because they see that you established this bill, and then when it's time to be paid, you pay the bill. And that looks great to them, and that makes you look like a terrific and low risk for yourself as far as getting capital, and that's extremely important. The last thing is the most obvious and probably what you thought I was going to say first. Don't ever, ever, ever miss any payments. No matter what is going on, make sure that you pay on time. Never miss. Now, in the event that you did have a mishap and slip up and you may have missed a payment, the very first thing you're going to do is get on the phone and call that credit card company and ask for forgiveness of missing that, so you don't get charged a late fee and it does not get reported to the credit bureaus. Now, in order for it to get reported to the credit bureaus, you would have to be late about 30 days. You'd have to be a full cycle in the red. But even if you were just a couple days late, I still advise you to call, especially if you've established a good history of at least 1 year of paying on time and you had some type of mental mishap or didn't set a reminder for yourself and you just missed that payment and you were a few days late. Call customer service, apologize, tell them it was an oversight on your behalf, and ask if they can please remove the late fee and make the payment right then and there. All right, guys, so there it is. Those are 5 things that people with really high credit scores, I'm talking the 800 club, do to get their credit there and then keep it there. And why is the 800 club so important? Very simple. It opens doors to get you the type of access to money that can absolutely change your life. All right, if you got value out of that content, make sure you subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell so you'll know when more videos like this are dropping. YouTube thinks that this is the next video that you should watch, so make sure you check that video out. And until I come back with my next video, guys, I'm 100% gone.